This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Greetings from the Philippines to the world. We are on Facebook Live on Eagle News and Net25 TV and also on our streaming site, eaglenewslive.com. Watch us on our YouTube channel at Net25 TV. I am Cesar Vallejos. Welcome to Open for Business. Join me discover the latest news and information in business around the world. Stay ahead of the curve from vision to action. Essential or non-essential, lugaw and other food has always been a vital part of our culture. Our food defines our heritage, connects communities, bridges differences, and unites us as a nation. We are celebrating Food Filipino Month this April that aims to promote and preserve local culinary and the role they play in Filipino culture and heritage. Jam Melchor, the founder of the Philippine Culinary Heritage Movement, will share his thoughts on why we are commemorating the importance of Filipino cuisine and how it helps us create our identity as Filipinos in this episode of Open for Business. Stay tuned, we will be back.
This portion is brought to you by Security Bank.
Do you like that?
Oh no! I'm sorry.
Ano nangyari dito? Eto sing-sing ko. Pakita ko sa'yo. Ganyang kalambing niyang Romeo ko. Paano kung di na siya bumalik sa'yo? Paano kung may nagmamayari na pala sa kanya? Babawiin ko siya. Hindi mo siya mababawi.
Yang sing-sing suot mo, mukhang hindi yan sa'yo. Dahil may ibang pangalan na nakaukit dyan.
Sino ka ba talaga? Bakit mo ginugulo ang isip ko? Kahit sa panaginip, bakit ayaw mo akong tigilan?
Napapanaginipan mo ko.
May babaeng pumunta po dito, sir. Bagong teacher siya dito sa baryo. Nobya daw po niya yung kapatid niyo. Sabi niya, Benedict, ang pangalan ni Romeo.
Broadcast journalist Weng de la Fuente returns on Philippine television and radio to deliver top stories and engage with the country's policymakers, shapers, and movers. Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita alas 7 ng umaga mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Weng de la Fuente sa Balitalakayan.
Open for Business is back, and with me is Jam Melchor, the founder of the Philippine Culinary Heritage Movement. How are you, Jam?
Hi, Cesar. I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, this is a very relevant month and a very exciting month. because we are celebrating the Filipino Food Month. And before I ask you questions about the Filipino Food Month, there was a viral video about lugaw as a non-essential, and sometimes, and a lot of people corrected it, it's an essential food, especially during the pandemic. What's your take on this, Jam?
Well, I mean, that incident is quite unnecessary, I guess. But perhaps when we are talking about the food itself, it's basically essential because most of the people that I know, especially those people that are sick, are only able to consume such type of liquid food. And one major type of food is lugaw or arroz caldo. And it can be found all over the country. It's part of our staple as a nation.
Yes, that's very interesting, Jam. And you are a chef yourself, and your organization is really promoting the importance of food as part of our heritage. Can you talk more how important this movement is, and why are you behind this commemoration of Filipino food this month?
One of the main goals that we have for our organization is to basically preserve our food culture. As you may have known, gastronomy is one of the forms of art or a form of culture that is not being recognized by the government. And that's what we're trying to push for. Merong buwan ng wika, may buwan ng musikang Filipino, but there's none about food and our food culture. When we lobbied this in 2018, we were surprised when the president signed the proclamation. That's why it's actually unexpected, but we have been gearing for this for quite some time already. And we wanted to make sure na most of the activities that we are going to organize as a food organization that preserves our food culture has gravity. Kaya importante ito para sa amin. Importante that Filipino food has been recognized because sabi nga nila, you are what you eat. And if we do not recognize our food as part of our culture, then what type of people are we? Diba?
Yeah, you're right there. You're spot on. So, talking about this proclamation, I see that the presidential proclamation 469 was really signed to promote, preserve, and ensure the transmission of vast Filipino culinary traditions to the present and future generations. So that's very interesting that, as you mentioned, there's a lot of celebrations, commemorations, and you mentioned a lot. And this happened only recently. I think you mentioned, is it, if I'm not mistaken, I heard it's 2018. Tama ba, Jam?
2018. It was signed in 2018.
2018. So with that, what were the challenges? How was the reception of the industry, specifically the ones who, like you, are into food preparation, preservation of Filipino culture, and also, especially with the businesses, we know that with food now, it's food security now is one of the priorities also of the Philippine government and other countries in the world. With that proclamation, so far, what were your challenges and how did you see the development of the promotion of gastronomy, Filipino culinary, when this proclamation was finally signed?
Alam mo, Cesar, it took us a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make this thing happen, no? It was around 2013 when I started the Filipino food movement. I was tapped by the Department of Agriculture then to go around in different countries to promote Filipino food. Tapos sabi ko, how come the government is promoting outside of the country whereas there's so much need to promote within the Philippines? If you ask a young person, what's Filipino food for you? Ang sagot nila, Jollibee or McDonald's. But that's the reality. So, after that, pagbalik ko ng Philippines, kinausap ko yung mga counterparts ko sa food industry, yung mga movers and shakers, and we decided to put up that movement, yung Philippine Culinary Heritage Movement, which is the sole organization that preserves Filipino food culture in all aspects. So, sabi ko, dapat pag nag-organize tayo ng events, hindi lang mga pop-up markets, hindi lang mga food bazaars, hindi lang mga kainan. Has to be something na may gravity at talagang pakikinabangan ng mga next generation. I am from Pampanga. So, talagang we take food seriously. Ang reception nila ay, syempre, may mga iba na, oh, we've done already that in the past. Oh, mahirap yan kasi it's a big challenge, matrabaho. But it didn't stop me kasi I really felt like it's high time to celebrate Filipino food more than anything within the country. Hindi lang tayo pwedeng promote. We also have to underscore preserve. Kasi maraming nagpo-promote pero wala masyadong nagpe-preserve. So one way of preserving is by pushing for the government to recognize Filipino food through a form of law, which is Filipino Food Month. Now, you have to understand that the food and beverage industry is a multi-million industry. It brings so much money to our economy. And we should take note of that. We have to celebrate that. And the only time, the legit, yung mga term ng millennials, legit time to celebrate it is through a proclamation, which is Filipino Food Month. It is the best time. I mean, yes, we can celebrate food every day, every month. But at least sa isang buong taon, meron tayong tinatawag the most delicious month in the Philippines. Something of that extent. Wherein also our kababayans from all over the world through the embassies and consulates can celebrate Filipino food culture because as you know, Filipino food or food in general binds everybody together. Kaya importante talaga yung celebration na ito.
John, you mentioned earlier your roots. You said you are from Pampanga, and yes, when people talk about Pampanga, it's really the home of chefs. The home of people who love food with festivals. Is this really somehow your upbringing? Is the motivation coming and the inspiration coming from your roots? I know that you have also traveled abroad and you represented the Philippines in some parts of the world. So, what was that factor that really triggered you, to initiate this movement? Is it both a combination of your being a Kapampangan at the same time, seeing probably the gastronomic delights of the different cultures in different parts of the world? What was that inspiration? And also, if you can again tackle what's that basic difference between, as you said, preservation and promotion in terms of food heritage.
I guess you are right. No, kasi the only parang puhunan that I always say when I was just starting is I am a Kapampangan. So there's this significant trust pag sinabing Kapampangan chef ka, ito automatic masarap magluto. Because most of the dishes that I know to prepare and have been preparing for the longest time are heirloom dishes. Yung heirloom kasi is something that has a genetic strand of more than 500 years. Mga pasa, minana from our lolos and lolas. And ito yung naging puhunan ko talaga. And with that love and devotion for heirloom, the things that I learned from my grandparents, siguro na i-mainstream ko at na ibahagi ko on a national level.
With that experience, talking about heirloom, can you cite some examples? Because I am from Pangasinan, and of course, I also had I also lived in Region 2, which is Cagayan Valley. So siyempre doon sa amin pakbet, pinakbet, or pakbet, or pinakbet, or what we call that heirloom dish. So can you describe more, and can you cite some examples of what you say as an heirloom cooking or dish, and what is it there that you think can be something that can be capitalized by businesses? Lahat ngayon, when you talk of MSMEs, di ba? Parang we have 99.6% of the total economy being run by MSMEs. And I think this is where the food industry is needed. So hindi I agree there when you said what is that favorite food, either Jollibee or fast food or any other brand. But when you talk of this heirloom, there is parang for a change, I haven't really heard that except this month. Can you talk more and give examples of what you are talking about heirloom, which could be something that could be unique in different parts or regions of the Philippines?
Tayo kasi, tayong mga taga-probinsya, we have so much diverse food experiences. Ako, I've said this a while ago. I came from Pampanga. I spent most of my childhood with my grandparents, and I've learned so much from them. In Pampanga alone, we have different ingredients, from the weirdest ones to the most foul-smelling ones but delicious. For example, burro. We eat crickets. We eat frogs. There are different types of fishes. So, tapos puro meat because it's highly influenced also by the Spanish. So, yung curiosity with food talagang hindi nawala. Dinala ko siya hanggang sa pag-edad. And then I also love traveling. Siyempre, as a chef, you need to expose your palates with different types of cuisines. And as you travel, you always wanted to try that specific cuisine kung saan yung mapupuntahan mo. And with that, siyempre, yun nga, magandang thrust talaga is to celebrate what's local. Locavorism. And that's being sustainable, which is dapat na i-adapt natin na model, sustainability. If you noticed over this past year, most of the people who are selling online stuff, usually food, ay yung mga specialty nila sa bawat lugar nila. Doon naglabasan yung mga recipe ni tita, recipe ng nanay, recipe ng lola ko, because food is a huge part of our personality, our persona, our culture, and hindi mawawala yon. And yun nga, as we gear towards the new normal, importante that we pivot to something which is really familiar and hindi imposibleng gawin. Lalo na yung pagkain, because food is essential.
Yeah. So, Jam, this is very insightful because what you are trying to communicate now is that kind of uniqueness. Kasi since we come from different parts of the region of the Philippines, tayo nga sabi mo nga, tayong mga taga-probinsya, we have a lot of experiences when it comes to food, and that could be the source of our uniqueness. is this, in your view, also as an entrepreneur, could be something that small businesses or MSMEs can capitalize in order to, bring that new flavor in terms of their product offering? And what are your ideas in promoting and preserving that? Kasi, limbawa, sabi mo nga, nung pandemya, naglabasan ng mga iba-ibang recipe. Di ba? So, how would you now be able to share that to the world? And what, especially now that, somehow there's social distancing, we don't necessarily, have this taste test, di ba? Dati, before, and exhibitions were really, everywhere. If you don't participate in trade exhibitions where you can sample, there's food tasting, di ba? You cannot really experience what this restaurants or food servers will provide you. So the question is, how challenging is it now to, as you mentioned, both promote and preserve what we have, especially coming from the regions?
We're actually thankful that we were able to start this movement even before this entire pandemic started. Kaya we were able to adjust with the times. Mm-hmm. I'm also grateful that nagkaroon ng pagkakataon para mapatunayan yung sarili namin. And we were able to get the ears of the government, from the Department of Agriculture to the National Commission for Culture and the Arts and Department of Tourism. We are in the position na nakikinig sila doon sa aming mga suggestions. Just to cite an example, this entire Filipino Food Month, napuno ng capacity building workshops virtual because learning should not stop dahil may pandemic. Why can't we maximize the internet, yung social media, lalo na sa mga kabataan? So, ang dami-dami naming capacity buildings on how to grow your own food, on how to maximize urban space, turn them into gardens, on how to celebrate ingredients. We have so much produce around the country. Iba-ibang regions nag-participate. In fact, through the Department of Tourism, their global offices, we have also celebrations all over the world. Australia, Taiwan, Germany, Hawaii, name it. It's present. Lumaki talaga siya, surprisingly. And they have adapted also some suggestions that we made. For example, food mapping. Ang food mapping is essential because we have to know kung saan tayo kukuha ng mga produce in times of calamities. So we have to map the entire country through food. Isa yon sa mga initiatives. Slow travel, traceability, promoting traceability, knowing where your food comes from. Hindi ka lang nag-travel because you wanted to eat. You also wanted to know the certain culture of a community, how they make it. Ngayon, may ganun na. Like may mga areas na pwede for travel, yung safe destinations. We work this out with DOT also. So ang ganda-ganda ng synergy ng Filipino Food Month. Dahil very inclusive.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's very interesting that you are now this movement was able to tap key partners and even influencers, diba? As you mentioned, there's the Department of Agriculture, there's the Department of Tourism, and there's even the National Commission for Culture and Arts. So, ito ba is the plan, something, that is this something very sustainable? Because there are some projects in the past, malaman naman natin, di ba? Kapag may project na ganyan, nagbigay ng budget, and after that, it cannot be sustained. There were a lot of initiatives in the past that does not or do not really provide concrete results. Pero based on some initial readings, this movement and this initiative is something also that helps farmers, fisher folk, and somehow with the promotion and preservation of these initiatives, you are able to you're opening up maybe better supply chains, and you are able to somehow be able to open the roads for market matching, so that more farmers will be given the markets that will reach the large enterprises. Is this initiative something sustainable, and what cases can you provide where this has really helped the grassroots, lalo na yung mga nasa probinsya?
Filipino Food Month is in its third year, no? But so far, we have been growing in terms of the number of the participants, whether it's a private or public run na activity. Ang maganda nito, per agency, it has been institutionalized. Mm-hmm. So, meron silang technical working group that needs to plan and make sure that things will run smoothly during the entire time of the celebration, national celebration. And the technical working group, whether magbago man ng administrasyon or mga nakaupo na officials, will still continue to go on. Nandun nakasaad yung rules. And kami naman, since it's our brainchild, we're not part of the government. We're not being paid to do this. It's actually our advocacy. In fact, if you can actually read most of the online articles and even the interviews that I've done in the past, I've never promoted my own personal business. Hindi nila ako pwedeng sabihin na, kasi ginagawa niya dahil gusto niya i-promote yung sarili niyang food business. No, I never mentioned any of that in the past, and I have no plans of doing it in the future. And that's why I also try to screen nga yung questions that are being asked. And I would tell them bluntly na this is purely an advocacy, and we don't really make money out of it. Mm-hmm. So ang kami taga-bantay, we just wanna make sure na maituloy yung adhikain na maging ganap yung pagkain Filipino sa buong mundo at higit sa lahat within the country, because importante na hindi na makilala ng mga Pilipino yung sarili nilang pagkain. Mm-hmm. Of course, masuportahan yung mga nasa grassroots level, just like yung farmers and fisher folks. Last year when the pandemic started, nung nagsabi magbibigay ng ayuda yung mga government officials, we took social media and we said na dapat naman pag nagbigay kayo ng ayuda, instead of giving out canned goods and instant noodles, why not give fresh vegetables? Mm-hmm. And true enough, nagsipag-start mag-order itong mga LGUs na tinag namin sa Facebook, and they kept on tagging us also dun sa kanilang output. No? May mga nagbigay pa ng buhay na manok, mga buhay na isda. With the help of Department of Agriculture, we were able to lead this LGUs to farms kasi harvest season, itong panahon na ito. Mm-hmm. And it's also a way of helping them. Kasi without people who will monitor these things, na talagang yung puso ay makakatulong at may advocacy, paminsan nami-mislead yung mga bagay-bagay.
Wow, that's really admirable, Jam. Although I agree with you na ito ay isang advocacy, marami din naman kasing nanonood ng mga small businesses, SMEs, na paano ba sila kikita, paano ba sila ano ba ang ibang pamamaraan para sila ay mag-prosper ang kanilang mga negosyo, lalo na sa pandemya. And I think although you want to avoid this question, but to me, with the MSMEs, and you mentioned the word that has always been used by a lot of people I interview here, yung pivoting to this new normal, specifically on digital marketing. You are young, and you can easily adapt to digital marketing, but a lot of people who and businesses who have not been exposed, to technology, to virtual, had to close their shops. So, in your as your advice to some food entrepreneurs, ngayon ikaw, namameri mo yung traditional marketing of your products and services with the new normal, with digital marketing. And as a matter of fact, you pivoted to this technology initiative. So what is your advice to entrepreneurs also, to food enthusiasts, to people who are exposed to chefs, to restaurant owners, di ba? Kasi lalo na ngayon, nagsara sila ulit, di ba? Whenever there are lockdowns, sila yung affected, di ba? And we see the proliferation of businesses from the logistics side. So in your case, you're able to really create some sort of a hybrid, di ba? Na you have a regional product, you are promoting local food. At the same time, you are embracing technology. So how do you now, what's your advice to entrepreneurs to be able to come up with the marriage of your traditional food preparation, still pursuing your passion of cooking, developing, improving your craft, at the same time embracing it or marrying it with technology so that you continue to survive? Kasi talaga naman ginagawa natin ito, Jam, because as entrepreneurs, we also want to create profit, and we want to create a business not only for us but for people who depend on us.
Truth to be told, siguro I speak also as an entrepreneur, no? Last year, tama ka, pivot yung panay nating naririnig na word. Pero nakakapagod. As someone who runs also my own business, it's hard to maintain operations. May mga costs ka na unexpected, tapos hindi mo pa alam what's gonna happen because it's quite uncertain and yung anxiety level is very high. Walang nakakaalam what holds in the future. We just have to keep that faith na everything will turn out well and positive, and do well and do good. Kung meron ka pang extra resources, siguro ganun talaga yung pagre-negosyo, kailangan mo subugal. And then while everybody's in a lockdown, make sure na you also learn and keep on improving yourself, your product, your business by means of attending capacity building seminars through our initiatives, lalo na ngayong Filipino Food Month. Our counterparts na government agencies, non-stop din sila sa pag-curate ng mga capacity building workshops, and ang private sector also. But alam nyo, to be honest, hindi talaga madali. Ang dami kong friends sa food industry na nagsara, na hindi na nila talaga kayang i-maintain because of the rent and talagang loss. Yung 1 week lang, malaking bagay na yun, malaking nawala na sa kanila. More so yung ilang weeks pa na magsasara. And I feel sorry, but life has to go on. Nandun tayo sa panahon na walang guide, wala tayong pwedeng sabihin, nangyari na to in the past. Walang playbook because we're making our own playbook. We're making our own playbook for the future, and we just have to keep the faith and move forward with our heads up.
But Jam, what is your outlook specifically in the food business? We know that as we as we mentioned during the introduction, lugaw is essential, di ba? Pagkain talaga. Pero what is that outlook in terms of MSMEs creating businesses out of food?
Food is essential talaga. And ito yung isang bagay na hindi mawawala because ang tao kailangan niyang kumain 3 times a day, paminsan 6 times a day. It's just a matter of learning new tricks and trade, lalo na making use of social media. Yung dati wala kang pakialam no sa Instagram or sa FB business, but now you need to learn how to boost ads, how to make collaterals, no, how to make use of your Viber group, communities, join food communities. Kasi dyan lang tayo matututo kapag sinubukan natin yung mga bagay na we've never done in the past.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jam, you've been exposed abroad. You've attended, I'm sure, many exhibitions and represented the Philippines also in a lot of events. Ano ang pagkakaiba ng Filipino cuisine? How is it? How is our culinary gastronomic delights stand out when placed in the international market? Is this something that is also sustainable when we create a Philippine, as you mentioned, Philippine plate, that you can share with the world?
Ang maganda sa pagkain natin, it's very diverse. And because of the influence of the Spaniards, the Americans, the Japanese, and other different nations, talagang exposed yung ating palate. Alam natin kung ano yung masarap tsaka hindi masarap. And with that, we were able to come up with something sa sarili nating pagkain. Nagkaroon nga ng fusion cuisine na tinatawag. So, ang pagkain natin is one way on how to promote our culture. And it follows. Meron nga silang tinatawag na gastrodiplomacy. Yung gastrodiplomacy ay isang form of promotion na ini-encourage ko na dapat gamitin ng DFA. We've been encouraging them to use this to anchor their programs to culinary tourism. Kasi doon talaga, the easiest way to introduce our culture is through food.
So when you say
we have OFWs all over the world.
Yeah, that's why when you say gastrodiplomacy, how do you exactly do that? Is it some sort of an exhibition, or you offer it to the communities around the world? In terms of your specific suggestions to the different embassies, how will they do gastrodiplomacy?
In the first year of Filipino Food Month, they made a database of all Filipino food restaurants all over the world, si DFA. Mm-hmm. But more than that, for example, si Thailand, in the 70s, I think, or 80s, lahat ng mga Thai na nasa abroad na gustong mag-come up ng isang Thai restaurant ay nilibre nila yung pamuhunan.
Oh, okay.
So something like that. An initiative para talagang ma-promote yung kultura. Hindi lang pagkain. Siyempre, definitely, they will import ingredients which are of high value within the country.
So parang may mga incentives siya.
Yes.
Incentives to businesses. Okay, so I think we're running out of time, Jam. And what is it that we expect pa from the organizers of the Filipino Food Month? What will people expect? Where will they go? What things can they learn? And I also learned a bit that there are also some short films or films about food that you will be showing. What are the other activities, that people like us can see about and can expect from the Filipino Food Month?
First of all, I would like to invite the public to join us in the national celebration of Filipino Food Month. April is Filipino Food Month. And yes, lugaw is essential. So you can actually find the different forms of activities in our Facebook page, which is the Filipino Food Month. And sa bawat page po ng mga organizers katulad ng Department of Agriculture, ng National Commission for Culture and the Arts, ng DOT, ay makikita nyo po yung iba't ibang activities that will happen within the month of April. And also, if you want to be part of our movement, yung Philippine Culinary Heritage Movement, we're also on Facebook and Instagram. We're quite pushing na mas maging active sa social media to reach to more people at para mas mapalaganap yung mga ginagawa naming initiatives.
Diyan marami din mga MSMEs na who also want to stay afloat. You know, they want to bounce back. Now that you are creating this movement, now that you are exposed, you know, with farmers, fisher folk, with probably different suppliers, what are your tips to them in order for them to also survive? Kasi right now, you know, we've seen there's a lot of news of, businesses closing, and yung iba nga, wala na, nag-change na talaga ng business model, or they shift to different careers already. But I see, Jam, that you are passionate about this movement, that you want to continue this, you create this advocacy. Pero what are your tips also to MSMEs who want to still go fight for it and continue and join your movement?
Number one kasi, as a food SME, kasi there are different types of MSMEs. Important is first to believe in your product. Kapag naniwala ka dun sa produkto mo, you vouch for it, you will fight for it, no matter what happens. And kahit na tatatlo na lang ang kliyente mo, 5 na lang yan, as long as you have a client, life will go on. Yun ang masasabi ko.
Okay, I also asked this to the guests, Jam. We know that the pandemic has really taught us a lot, and this is one of the times where we really had to do a lot of introspection, a lot of reflection about what happened. In your case, what were your learnings during the pandemic? What were your realizations? What is it that you can share to MSMEs both on a personal and professional level?
Papinsan, dumarating sa akin personally yung tinatawag na burnout. I have to admit. Kasi syempre, yun nga, because of the anxiety and yung mga iba-ibang challenges na dumarating, we do not really expect. We're just human. And I think ang maganda lang is kailangan balikan natin yung whys natin. Bakit natin ginagawa ito? Para kanino? And ano pa ba yung gusto mong marating? Kasi if we're focused enough and alam natin yung mga gusto natin, I think kahit pa paano everything will work properly at some level. Kahit na ang gulo-gulo na. As long as you have that discipline. And number one, yung strategy. Importante kasi dito, diskarte ngayon. Sabi ko nga sa mga nagtatrabaho ko, sa mga staff, paminsan ngayon, hindi importante kung makailang diploma ka na, PhD, or kung ano-ano pa. Ang importante sa panahon yan, diskarte. May maiuwi kayong pera sa pamilya ninyo. May mayahapag kayong pagkain sa pamilya ninyo. I'm not downplaying. I also teach as a professor at St. Scholastica's College, Manila. But then, sa panahon ngayon, diskarte talaga.
Wow, yes, that's very insightful, Jam. Now, I think this is my last question. With the Filipino Food Month, we know that there are many regions. As you mentioned, the Filipino food is very diverse. So, nakikita mo ba somehow? Because I mentioned that the food can also connect communities, bridge differences. How is it How is the Filipino food defining our national identity? Now that you said the Filipino, we are celebrating this on our third year already. How is it different so far? What to you is the impact of your movement so far, Jam?
On our third year, ang pinakamagandang nangyari is the Filipino Food Month has been institutionalized. For example, nagkaroon ng mandate ang Department of Agriculture na lahat ng attached agencies niya and bureaus all over the country and regional offices should celebrate Filipino Food Month. And then, ito kasi kailangan mabigyan ng awareness yung public that Filipino food is not just pantawid gutom. It's more than that. It's part of our culture. Yan yung paulit-ulit. Kultura natin yan. At kahit hindi siya nare-recognize as a form of art, it will always be there. Kahit ano okasyon, may pagkaing Pilipino, hindi nawawala. And it will be a good symbol also of or representation ng mga farmers and fisher folks natin, ang mga producers. And it will also pose a challenge to everybody to take part. Ano ba ang role nyo dun sa food system? From producers down to consumers, napakahabang chain. Ano ba ang pwede mong maitulong or maibalik para sa paglago ng ating pagkain or ekonomiya?
Thank you so much, Jam. That's really an exciting conversation, and as we speak, it gets me hungry. And thank you so much. We know that there's more activities to look forward to, and we hope that you can hopefully every year, we can see you and guest you here in Open for Business. That is Jam Melchor, the founder of the Philippine Culinary Heritage Movement. Open for Business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Kumanta, sumaya tayong lahat. Saya-saya.
Si Marian Honor. Abangan niyo ako ngayong linggo sa Himig ng Lahi. Alas 8 ng gabi, dito lang sa Net25. Teka lang muna, wait. Ganito pala, pumapag-ibig. Madrama parang telenovela. Araw-gabi, hindi na mapag...
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Open for Business is back, and our term of the week is Michelin Star. It is the ultimate hallmark of culinary excellence. They are awarded to restaurants judged to be of a particularly high standard. Eateries that make the grade can be awarded 1, 2, or 3 stars, and the accolade is much coveted by chefs around the world. The star system was first introduced in 1926 with a single star denoting a very good restaurant. The second and third stars were added in 1933 with 2 stars meaning excellent cooking that is worth a detour, and 3 stars, exceptional cuisine that is worth a special journey. The Michelin Guide has been published annually since 1900 and was originally intended to help drivers find mechanics, hotels, and of course, good restaurants on their travels. In the years that followed, the popularity of the scheme spread overseas, with guides published for major cities around the world. The company also enlisted the help of the legendary Michelin inspectors and developed the rigorous system of testing that has made the Michelin Guide the fine dining Bible it is today. And our word of the week is from Sophia Loren. She said, "The most indispensable ingredient in all good home cooking is the love for those you are cooking for." Thank you for watching Open for Business. Join us again in the next episodes of Open for Business for more insights from CEOs, thought leaders, and industry experts and SMEs promoting business development in the Philippines. See you again every Saturday and Sunday here in Open for Business, where we discuss business information, deliver the latest business news to keep you informed and open for business, and be ahead of the curve from vision to action. You're on Facebook Live on Eagle News and Net25 TV, and you can watch this again in the video section of the Eagle News and Net25 Facebook pages and on eaglenewslive.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Net25 TV. This is Cesar Vallejos. We live in interesting times.
This program is supported by Security Bank.
Rise up every Saturday